Get old and stay old has been an adage for building success in college basketball for years. Previous Baylor basketball teams have utilized this tactic well in building their success. An easy example is the 2021 National Championship basketball team. But with the NIL era coming into full swing, it's getting harder and harder to follow that adage to build a successful roster these days. So if you can't grow old, you might have to grow taller and longer. At least that's the approach Scott Drew is taking to his roster reconstruction this offseason, and it's really reminiscent of some of his past successes. Think Epe Udoh, Josh Lomers, and Quincy Acey in 2009-2010. Think of AC, Quincy Miller, and Perry Jones III in 2011-2012. Both of those were Elite Eight runs for the Baylor Bears. During this past season, the 2024-25 season, the top 9 players for the Baylor Bears featured just one guy who was 6'11" or taller. That also featured one guy who had a plus 4-inch wingspan or better. That was the same guy, Josh Ojanluna, and he went down with a season-ending knee injury in February. Real quick, if you're more of a fan of reading than watching, you can read all of this info that's in this video in a nice, concise article that's on sikkim365.com, and you can access that online or through our mobile app. Now, when I say someone has a plus 4-inch wingspan, what I mean is his wingspan is 4 inches wider than he is tall. So you can have a plus 10-inch wingspan at like the longest end, or you can have a minus 3-inch wingspan. It's a vast gamut, and that's really what we're going to dig into here in this video. Given that Josh was the only guy with great height or great length who saw the court for the Bears last season, they didn't really have the pieces to make up for lack of athleticism or youth or inexperience on the defensive end. But even when you look at youth and inexperience, you don't have to be an old team to be great at defense. I mean, just look at the Baylor team that came after the national championship team, that 21-22 team. Now, they had some older pieces like Jonathan Tchamwa-Tchatchoua and James Akinjo came in and was playing great defense, but you also played great defense with freshmen like Jeremy Sohan and Kendall Brown out there. They didn't have to be old. They were long and they were athletic. Now let's pivot to look at a conference rival, and a team that is very well known for may not being the tallest, but one of the longest and hardest working teams out there, the Houston Cougars. Now, Baylor fans don't like them for many, many reasons. Old and new, doesn't matter. They're a conference rival. But they are a very, very long wingspan team. Funnily enough, the reigning Big 12 champions and the national runners-up had a shorter average height than this past season's Baylor Bears, at least in the rotation players, which is a little crazy to think about. However, the Cougars had 3 forwards with massive wingspans, elite defensive intensity, and great athleticism to help take them just a couple plays away from winning a national championship. Juwan Roberts is 6'8", 3 inches shorter than Ojanluna, with a 7'4" wingspan. That's a plus 6 wingspan, just like Ojanluna's. Javier Francis has a 7'5" wingspan. That's a plus 9. And Joseph Tugler has a 7'6" or plus 10-inch wingspan. That's insane. And to quote my boss and general ball knower Ashley Hodge, wingspan matters. He literally made a shirt. So with what became a blank slate of a roster this offseason, Scott Drew went out and got a bunch of tall, long, and athletic guys who can hopefully bring championship-level defense back to the banks of the Brazos this next season. Tennessee transfer wing Cameron Carr might be just 6'5", but he has the longest wingspan delta on Baylor's new team at plus 9 inches. High Point transfer center Justin Bodo Bodo not only brings pure height at 7 foot flat, but he also boasts a 7'8" wingspan, so plus 8. Cincinnati transfer wing Dan Skillings also has a plus 8 wingspan, coming in at 6'6" in the height department with a 7'2" reach. Wyoming transfer guard Obi Agdam brings better length to the backcourt too, with a plus 5-inch wingspan. Rice transfer center Caden Powell is plus 4. High school commits Tunde Yusufu and Andre Iguodala II are plus 4 and plus 5 respectively. So that makes 7 guys on Baylor's 25-26 roster with a plus 4-inch wingspan or better. They had just 3 of those last year. Obviously, height and length aren't everything. Skill, basketball IQ, and effort will all play major roles in the outcomes next season. But you can't teach height and length. Coach Drew can teach scheme, he can drill you on skills, and he can drill you on intensity and effort. But he can't teach height and length. Scott Drew hasn't had an offense outside the top 25 since 2017-2018. And the time before that, it was 2011-2012. Scott Drew knows how to get an efficient offense out of his pieces damn near every year. So will he have the guys to make the defense efficient enough to match? Thanks for watching this By the Numbers video. We hope you'll consider subscribing to this YouTube channel and subscribing to our website, sikkim365.com, where you can get the latest news, notes, and inside information on everything Baylor athletics. Also, download our mobile app to get instant notifications of breaking news or anything published by your favorite authors on our website.